Buddy, welcome! Happy Friday, Satan Patak. I am Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and this is 5-Question Friday. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, I answer 5 questions from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, expatinCroatia.com, email, my consulting sessions, and people who write them down beautifully in cursive on papyrus and then put them in a bottle and throw them in the ocean, and then they wash up on the shore and someone delivers them to my house. So today I've got 5 great questions, and quickly, just a couple things before we dive into that. So one, I was not here last Friday. I had to take a sick day. There's some kind of thing, my body's freaking out about something, I don't know, but I just was down for the count and I could not get back up. But thankfully I'm here today. I'm very happy to be back. I want to wish a very happy birthday to Logan. Logan is something who contacted Expat in Croatia 3 years ago at least. And then over the years we became friends, and he is a watcher of 5-Question Friday. So I want to wish him a joyous birthday. So happy to know you, Logan. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to dive right in. How's that sound? Okay, if you're just joining us, this is 5-Question Friday, and I am Sarah. I am now going to answer 5 questions about Croatia. Let's get started. Okay, the first one is from George. This was on one of my consulting sessions, and I have to start off by telling you that I talked to George in September of last year. This is a question that we have been trying to get answered for months and months and months and months and months. So that's the earliest record I have, but I have a memory of this specific question plaguing our entire team for much longer than just this past September. And we finally got a direct answer from Mup about it. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this, because we have been asked this question a lot. So I'm very excited to tell you the answer here right off the bat. Okay, here's the question from George and 1,000 other people. Can a tourist who is working remotely for a foreign employer work remotely for a foreign employer while they're in Croatia as a tourist? So to put that in the most basic terms possible, if a tourist comes to Croatia, they are not intending to apply for residence, or maybe they are, it doesn't really matter. But the point is they work from a laptop. Can they work while they're on Croatian soil? And, it was really unclear, because when you go by the law, it should be no. That's kind of what the law implies. So the answer we got from MUP is that yes, you can. As long as you are working for a foreign employer and you're not working for a Croatian employer, you can work on the territory of Croatia while you are a tourist. So, yay! Thank you so much to George. Thank you to the whole team, because this has been a team effort. So Cam, our newest employee, she worked on this. Lucia, Andrea, Maria. It's just been an uphill battle. And sometimes that's how it happens. Sometimes we just have to give up on a question, and just hope that we run into the solution. So finally got the answer. Yay. All right. So the next one, this comes from Cecilia, and she submitted her question through our 5-Question Friday form. You can find that at the link in our bio, at the link in this caption. You can find it linked to in the newsletter. We tend to give priority to 5-Question Friday form submissions, but you can always just send us a question by dropping it in the comments or sending us a DM, and you might see it here on a future 5-Question Friday. So she asks, I am from Argentina, and my husband is a Croatian citizen. We've moved to Zagreb recently, and I'm waiting for my temporary residence to be approved. My question is, can I apply for Croatian citizenship once I get my residence? We've been married for 7.5 years. So there's one piece of information that's missing for me to say yes, absolutely, definitively. And that is the status of her husband. So he's a Croatian citizen, but was he born on the territory of Croatia? Or did he have a parent or a grandparent that was born on the territory of Croatia? These details matter. Now, she's coming from Argentina. There is a huge Croatian diaspora population in Argentina. So I would say context clues is my guess that she has married a descendant of a Croatian immigrant, in which case she could apply based on Article 11, which is specifically for the descendants of Croatian immigrants. A Croatian immigrant is defined as someone who's born on the territory of Croatia and then permanently moved abroad. And in that case, their spouses can also apply immediately without having lived in Croatia. So that's option one. The second option is if, let's say, her husband was born on the territory of Croatia and he moved outside Croatia, then most likely residence requirements would be involved. So what are those residence requirements? So you have to have permanent residence before you would qualify to apply for citizenship on that kind of basis through marriage. So that means that she would need to have temporary residence for 4 years continuously. Then she could apply for permanent residence. And then the moment that she was approved for permanent residence, she could then apply for citizenship after that and not give up her other nationality, her Argentinian nationality, in either of those cases. So those cases are Article 10, that's by residence through marriage, and Article 11, that's descent through marriage. So this question is very well timed because next week we are publishing a guide just for spouses of Croatians on how you can apply for citizenship. Now, there's actually a few more options, but they're a lot more rare, which is why I'm not talking about them here today. Like, for example, those of you who've been following for a long time, I applied for Croatian nationality last year on special interest. That's Article 12. If I had a spouse, my spouse could also get citizenship through me if I were to be granted citizenship on this basis. For example, Article 16 also has a spousal clause. That's member of the Croatian people. That's when someone's applying for citizenship, usually by descent, but they don't qualify due to some kind of technicality, then they fall back on 16. And there's a few other scenarios like that, but 10 and 11 are the absolute most common. So in our post next week, we will go through all of the options. And we want to drill down a little bit more specifically so that way people have a post for their exact case, as much as we possibly can do. Thank you so much, Cecilia, for that. Okay, next is Hazel. I spoke to Hazel in a consulting session, and she had a very interesting question, and I was very intrigued by the answer. So heads up, this is about Schengen, which we get a million questions all the time about Schengen, and just a little bit of insider information. So there are lots of things that we hear about what's going on at MUP through back channels, through our lawyers. They kind of give us a sense of what the caseworkers are saying, what's kind of going on behind the scenes. And one of the things that's going on behind the scenes is this kind of difficult transition to Schengen. Croatia wasn't completely prepared for that. I'm not going to say it's a total mess, that's not true, but there have been some impacts. Like, for example, I put up a video a couple weeks ago where I talked about this giant backlog at MUP with temporary residence applications. And that is one thing that has been affected by Schengen. But another thing is there are just all these kind of really strange use cases that are coming out of the woodwork that are just not black and white, and MUP is having a really hard time figuring out how to apply the law, which I get because there's just 1,000 different situations out there, or more than that, and they're just not all easy to answer. So this specific situation that someone's asking, if a person is denied residence, or they decide to cancel their residence application before it's approved, will the time while they were in process be counted towards their Schengen time? The answer is yes. So let me explain. When you apply for temporary residence, if you do not require a visa to enter the country, you can stay in Croatia as long as your application is in process. And the moment that you submit your application for residence, you're no longer a tourist. That means that your days as a tourist counting in Croatia and also counting in the Schengen zone, they're no longer being calculated. The timer stops. But if you, let's say, get 2 months into your process and you're like, this is taking too long, I don't want to do this anymore, and you decide to cancel your residence application process, then that 2 months that you spent in Croatia just awaiting your procedure to be done, that then gets tacked on to your Schengen calculator. So you could actually end up in the negative in terms of the time that you're spending in Schengen. So that's an important detail to know about. Now, how do they handle a negative balance on your Schengen calculator? That is a whole other kettle of fish. We're working on it. But like I said, the government doesn't have all the answers. So I think it's something that's really going to take a bit of time to sort out. But if you have a negative balance, you got to leave Schengen like immediately. Now, usually when you are denied residence, you are given a little bit of a grace period to leave Croatia. And that amount of time can vary depending on your situation. So it's not like a cut and dry kind of thing. Sometimes it can be 30 days, sometimes it's like 5 days, sometimes it's immediately. It just really depends on the case. So I know that there are some digital nomads who've gotten a little bit frustrated with how long the application process takes. And so they have either just up and left. I never recommend doing that. Ever, 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 ever. If you have decided that you don't want to apply for residence and you're in process, please cancel. Please cancel that process. Or let's say that you have residence and you decide you want to leave early, please cancel your residence. That's super important to do for a variety of reasons. One, if you left Croatia and you never canceled your residence, they are going to fine you. If you don't come back to Croatia, you'll never see that fine. But the number of people that are involved to be able to hunt that situation down, first they got to identify it, then they got to come to the residence where they think you are, and then once they discover it, then there's people who have to process that internally, and then there's the person who issues there's a lot of work that goes into doing something like that. So please don't do that. It's not fair to the government if you're going to abandon your residence. Just go to the police station and cancel it. We have a guide on how you can cancel your residence. That goes for both Croatian citizens as well as everybody else. So if you'd like that guide, just send us a DM. We'd be happy to send it to you. And if you're in process and you decide to abandon it, again, please tell MUP that you no longer wish to apply for residence. Because otherwise, again, they're going to continue to process that application. More hours are going to be spent on nothing. You know, Croatia's got a huge backlog. It's not like they have more staff than they possibly need. They're understaffed. So every moment that they spend on a lost cause case is a waste, and it harms everybody else who's in the process. So no critique whatsoever if you feel like you're waiting too long and it just not work for your situation. Just please, pretty please, sugar on top, notify the government, because it just makes the situation worse when people leave and then they don't tell anybody. And here's another reason why you should be very upfront about this, and that's because of taxes. When you are on Croatian soil for more than 183 days, you are considered a tax resident. So if you get residence, there's a bit of a gray area there where the tax office can actually argue that you're a tax resident because you've gone through the process of applying for residence and you've obtained residence. So if you're in Croatia for 6 months, let's say, which is 183 days, and then you decide, you know what, I'm going to leave, and then you don't cancel your residence, they could argue that you've been a tax resident that entire time because they don't know that you left. If you go from here to Germany or some other place in Schengen, they're not going to necessarily know that you've gone. So there's just so many reasons to be transparent with MUP about your residence. That was a bit of a tangent, but it was warranted. Okay, so the next question, this was consulting from Tiffany. She asked, where can an adult get swimming lessons in Split? So there are 2 places. My colleague Andrea found the answers to these, and oh my gosh, one of them has the most split answer ever. So one of them is Plivački klub Pošk. Pošk? Yeah, Pošk. So they have like a monthly membership fee, and then you can get access to their swimming classes, both for children and adults, as part of that membership fee. So the membership fee for adults ranges from 35 to 40 euros, and then for children, it's 20 euros. And then the other place is Plivački Club Mornar. So with this one, there's a specific guy that you need to talk to, and we have his cell phone number. So if you would like to talk to Slobodan about how you can take swimming lessons at this other one, Mornar, which I believe is on Zenta, we can give you his phone number. We won't put it out publicly, but if you would like it, feel free to reach out to us and ask. Okay, now our last question of the day. This comes from Catherine. This was on a consulting session. She asked, I love this question, will government offices be open in August? Yes, they are. So the government offices are open any day that is not a state holiday. That being said, all procedures that are going on in Croatia grind to a halt during summer. So it's very difficult to get anything done during this time. And that's not just going to government offices, that includes the court as well. Just nothing happens. So I will give you a real life example. I applied for citizenship, I want to say it was like June 30th last year. And they didn't start processing my application until, I want to say like October, something like that. And then it happened really swiftly. But before that, it was like nothing happened at all. So, because, Croatians take a lot of holiday during the summer. If they're not working in tourism, then usually they take holidays during the summer. So that tends to be when government employees take their holidays. August is definitely a big month for holidays, but the holidays could really be kind of any time in latter June, July, August, even September in some cases. So the offices are all understaffed. So will they be open? Yes. But the number of people that will be there servicing you, or the people behind the scenes who are processing things, those numbers are going to be reduced. And I could see a scenario. I don't know I can't confirm this, but in my experience, I believe this to be true. And that is, if you are in a village or some like very, very small municipality, my guess is those kinds of offices, they probably limit their hours. Or maybe they're only open on these days and not other days during the summer. I could absolutely see that happening, and I believe that to be true. So it really just depends. But if you're in a bigger city, or if you're in a city at all, they're all going to be open year-round as long as it's not a state holiday. If you need to know what the state holidays are, we do have a list of them on expatandcroatia.com. We'd be happy to send you that list so you know what's going on. But I will also add this. There are government offices that are closed on local holidays. So most cities, municipalities have their own local holidays. Very commonly, these are the patron saint celebrations. So you can have local offices that are closed on local holidays. For example, Split is about to have a local holiday on May 7th. This is Sveti Duje. It's also my Croatian anniversary. Woo woo! But it's basically just like a giant block party, and it's to celebrate the patron saint Sveti Duje. Split has two patron saints, but nobody gives a crap about the other one. They only care about Duje. So there's a week-long celebration, and then it culminates on the 7th with, like I said, this huge block party pretty much all day. All these vendors come down from Slavonia and sell all these things made of wood. It's really traditional to buy a spoon, a big wooden spoon. And then at night they have fireworks. It's my absolute favorite day of the year. So it's very common for people to take that day off, or offices to be closed on that day. So that's something that anyone in Split should be aware of. And if you are in Split on May 7th, you gotta go to Sveti Duje. It's like the best thing ever. Now this year it's on a Sunday, so offices would not be impacted by that. I'm just hoping it doesn't rain, but I will be out there regardless. So if you are in Split and you see me, flag me down, give me a holla, I will be out. I love that day. And this year, I will be celebrating my 11th year in Croatia. So I can hardly believe it. But we are going to be putting out our first post about the Sveti Duje celebration at the start of May. I cannot believe we haven't done one yet, because like I said, it's the highlight of my year. But we're going to give some background on that whole celebration, and we'll do a video for you here on Instagram of that too. So yeah, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed these questions. If you're just joining us and you miss all the questions, don't worry. I'm going to post a replay about this in a couple of minutes, as long as Instagram does not eat it, which it does often. I will tell you a quick little detail of something that happened today. I met with a friend of mine, Isabel. She has been a contributor for us. I have known Isabel pretty much the whole time I've been here. She lives in Istria, and she is in charge of writing the new Croatia guidebook. And so we sat on a coffee today, and I gave her tons of suggestions for Split. So my information will be in Lonely Planet. Isn't that cool? I'm pretty excited about that. So whenever the new Lonely Planet comes out for Croatia, I will most definitely tell you guys all about it so you can see it. But yeah, it's pretty neat to be able to throw some sunshine on my favorite places in Split and Omiš and Stolbrec and Podstrana. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. All right, guys, that's it for this Friday. Thank you so much for being here, and I will be here next Friday for another edition of 5 Question Friday with 5 more questions. And if you would like to see your question answered here, please just send us a DM. We would be more than happy to answer your question, and the weirder, the better. There are no questions that are too mundane or too strange or too left field. We love left field questions. I hope that you guys have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much for being here. I love this time that I have with you. So, mwah, mwah, mwah. Vidimo se. Ciao.